Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to join this webinar on ways to establish permanent peace in the world, organized by the Eternal University, which has been founded on the mantra of Sanskar Nirman, value-based education or character building. I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Devinder Singh Ji for the invite and would compliment the university for organizing this event on International Day of Peace, which is observed around the world on 21st September. I am very happy to know that the Eternal University has been set up by the Kalgidar Trust Baru Sahib under the guidance of its president, His Holiness Baba Iqbal Singh Ji. The university upholds the vision of Sant Atar Singh Ji, who earned master's degree in English from Harvard in 1912, and look forward to the creation of outstanding human beings who would spread the message of love and spiritual brotherhood not only in this country but the entire world. I understand that this year International Day of Peace is being observed on the theme Recovering Better for an Equitable and Sustainable World. During the pandemic, we have realized that disease anywhere is a threat to health everywhere. It will be in the fitness of things if we add that violence, tension, lack of peace anywhere, they pose a threat to peace and stability everywhere. Our concern today is about how to help everyone recover better, how to build resilience, and how to transform our world into one that is more equal, more just, equitable, inclusive, sustainable, and healthier. The worldwide fight against the pandemic is going on through the vaccination of millions of people. But in April this year, there were nearly 100 countries which had not received a single dose. The reason was not just poverty, but the lack of peace, because many of these countries which were caught in the conflict were found to be especially vulnerable in terms of lack of access to health care. In a way, the pandemic also conveyed the message of give peace a chance. The Indian concept of peace involves many dimensions which rise above cordial relations. Our Constitution, which reflects the noble social aspirations of our nation, endeavors to promote peace at various levels. The preamble itself, through the ideals of justice, equality, liberty, and fraternity, attempts to ensure a peaceful and happy social environment. The Article 51 provides that the state shall endeavor to promote international peace and security. Peace has always been among the highest values of humanity, and we can see peace as concord or harmony, but at the same time it does not mean mere security or an absence of conflict. Great Ashoka, in one of his edicts, had declared Samvai Eva Sadhu, that is, peace or harmony is the best recourse. We can see peace as a social and political condition, and not only for economic growth and prosperity, but also something that is absolutely necessary for full realization of individual's potential, which includes the qualities of heart and mind and spiritual fulfillment. These values have influenced the Indian worldview, and the view which has come to us from our cultural heritage is very clear on the importance and need for building peace in the society. In fact, one of the name of the supreme truth or the supreme reality, or the name has also been used in the meaning of peace. In Guru Granth Sahib, for instance, it has been said, Sab mahi jot jot hai soi, tisde chanani sab mahi chananu hoi. The light of God, that is soul, dwells in each and every being, and it is this shared soul which binds us together, which creates an interconnectedness. And this again is in conformity. We have 4 Vedas as our ancient scriptures, and each one of them gives a Mahakavya, Mahavakya. Mahavakya means a statement of objective statement. One of the Vedas says, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. Brahma means God. Brahma means creator. Brahma means supreme truth. Brahma means peace. So I am peace. The other Veda says, Tat Tvam Asi. So are you. The third one says, Pragyanam Brahma, which means peace is supreme consciousness, or supreme consciousness is Brahma, which is peace. And the fourth one says, I am Atma Brahma. This soul is Brahma, is supreme truth, supreme reality, or peace. What is meant by this? We had different cultures in the world, and each one has its own genius. I am only talking about the Indian culture. If we look at the history of Indian culture, it has not been defined either by race or by language or even religious faith. The reason being that right from the start of the journey of civilization, India had presence of many races, multitude of tongues were spoken in India. People, their modes of worship, their faith in the supreme truth were diverse. So what yardstick we should use to define India and Indians? The thought leaders of India, who are known as rishis and gurus, they must have, this scenario must have posed a difficulty for them. So, because the problem was that if you define by race, then so many people are excluded. If you define by language, then again you exclude people. Define by faith, again you exclude people. So they decided to adopt Atma, that is soul, that pervades in all of us, that is all inclusive, as the defining parameter of Indian civilization or Indian way of life. And once we have accepted that paradigm, then it leaves no room for the concept of the other. The conflict arises, the threat to peace arises when some people are yours while others are not yours. Ayam nich paroveti garna laghu cheta sam. Udar charita naam tu Vasudev Kutumbakam. People who believe in this is mine, this is thine. This is mine, this is yours. It's only narrow-minded people who think in these terms. For a man of large heart and big mind, the whole earth is his own family. So this very definition created sometimes we may act very differently. We may behave in a manner which is not in conformity with these established teachings and principles. But the principles, the ideals in which Indian culture and civilization is rooted is that all beings are connected through Atma, interconnected. Therefore, there is no one who is other. One of the prophet of Indian Renaissance, Swami Vivekananda, he said, He devoted all his life, though he lived for a short period of time, but had tremendous impact on Indian mind and psyche. He inspired whole lot of generation of Indian freedom fighters and others, academics. In one of his letters, he described his mission. My mission is very simple. And the mission is to teach unto mankind, not just Indians, to teach unto mankind their divinity and its manifestation in all movements of life. This is what Guru Granth Sahib says, Sab mahi jot, jot hai soi. If I believe in this, Sab mahi jot, jot hai soi, how can I, person of different color, person of different gender, person of different, one who speaks different language, comes from a different cultural background. For me, that person is not other. But as it happened with many society, despite these teachings, we have also acted strangely. But we are fortunate that whenever we act strangely, whenever we violate these basic principles, then we are blessed with gurus, we are blessed with great men who come and they devote their lives to correct the wrongs which we as a society do. We have a very, very interesting anecdote. The great Indian thought leader, Adi Shankaracharya, who also died very young. He was in Varanasi. Some of us who have visited Varanasi must have noticed that the roads, the lanes are very narrow. He was coming after having bath in Ganga. And on the corner of the lane he saw an outcast, those who perform the last rites of the dead bodies, is standing on the corner of the lane with his 5 dogs. And Shankaracharya, though great exponent of Advaita, this teaching that no one is other, and all are interconnected, and it is the supreme, it is the Paramatma who in the forms of Atma dwells in each one of us. Maybe out of the compulsion of something which came to his mind in the childhood itself, he said to this outcast Chandal, he said, remove yourself. So that he wanted that his dogs or he should not touch the body of Shankaracharya. This person shot back and he said, shall I remove my body or my soul? And great Shankaracharya immediately realized his folly, and he fell down on his feet and he composed a poem which is known as Manish Panchakam. The essence of this that poem is that one who has realized or one who knows that it is the same soul dwells in every being such person who has realized this truth, whether he be a Chandal, an outcast, or may come from some noble lineage, that person is my teacher, that person is my guru. The question is, we should shun violence, we should shun tension, we should embrace peace. Why I should embrace peace? If violence, doing violence to others helps me to dominate over others, if by creating tension I benefit myself, then why I should embrace peace? I embrace peace. My tradition tells me that these benefits may be very temporary. I have been told that what goes around comes around. I have been told that you are not, when you are hurting somebody, then actually you are hurting yourself. A beautiful Semitic story from Semitic tradition comes to my mind. Rabbi Hillel, who was a contemporary of Lord Jesus, a pagan comes to him and says, if you read the whole Bible standing on one foot, I will embrace your religion. Rabbi Hillel does not dismiss him. He gets up, takes the book in his hand and says, do not do unto others what is hateful to you, and sits down. This man said, how come you have finished the whole book in less than a minute? Rabbi Hillel said, this is the essence of the book, rest is commentary, go home and read it. The Indian tradition says, Sarv Shastra Puranesh. Just now, Vice Chancellor Sahab had recited from a line from Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji, which says the same thing. So, the Vyas is the name who is compiler of all Indian wisdom. There are so many books, they confuse you sometimes. So he, as compiler of the book, finally he said, the essence of all books, he says this is indisputable truth. And this is the essence of all the books which I have compiled. And the essence is Sarv Shastra Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachanam Durvam. Paropkarastu Punyay, doing good to others is meritorious, and Papai Parpirnam, and hurting others is the only sin. Therefore, I feel that I would like to congratulate the Eternal University, the Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor for organizing this program, and I feel that as an Indian, I am duty bound. As an Indian, this is my dharma, to promote. It is not only a question of promoting peace. I want to live in peace. If I want to live in peace, I have no option but to think well of others. I must trust others. I must respect others. I must respect diversity, accept diversity, because my tradition tells me, so kamayata bahusyam pirjayeti. And then he desired to multiply himself so that all people can be born. So one in many and many in one is one of the founding virtues of India. And it's not a question of good conduct. It is our duty to spread this message, and you are doing it very effectively, very forcefully. So I once again compliment you. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.